Hello everybody and welcome back to some more Hearthstone here on the channel. Hopping right back in as our Paladin deck, doing pretty well so far. Probably will try a new deck out soon, but I am enjoying the Paladin deck and we're doing pretty well on it. Getting up to rank 18 and looking to get to 17 possibly in this episode. We go against another Paladin. Interesting to see how this one works out. We're going to go second, but I'm going to replace all 4 of these cards. Tempted to keep the Quartermaster in as always, but usually just get rid of him in favor of something earlier. Fortunately, we don't really draw anything that is earlier game for us, like our Leper Gnomes, which he's going to play right off the bat. And we get a Berserker, so starting off, not the best start. A lot of later minions, like a Berserker and a Lord of the Arena. He's got a couple of minions that he could rush us down with if he has buffs, and don't really get anything there either. Put a 1/1 out to potentially kill off one of his minions. Probably the Leper Gnome to keep him from drawing the card, but he does have an early weapon in his hand. Got a South Sea Deckhand, which he does have a weapon, so that's going to charge for him. Deals 6 damage total this turn to us. It's a Worgen Infiltrator, so he's got a pretty big board out. But we do have a Consecration here that we can kill all 4 of his minions off with. Gonna definitely do that. Take 4 damage, let him draw a card, but he loses quite a bit of momentum and he will actually concede. So, alright, so we're able to counter his momentum enough for him to end up conceding to where he only had 1 card left. Apparently a very rush-heavy Paladin deck. Unfortunately, for him at least, we did have the perfect counter and Consecrate. Hopefully go into a little bit longer of a match on the next one and maybe get a victory. Not that I have a problem with getting a pretty easy victory. Go against a Rogue, which I have a bad feeling because every time I play against a Rogue it seems to be the same Rogue deck, which is not very good for what we play. We do get a pretty good start out though. It'd be better if we went second, could coin out the Annoyatron and then give it Blessing of Might on turn 2. Or we would have drawn into one of our Leper Gnomes, but we do not, so just gotta hope to get some pretty good momentum. They're gonna coin out the Mech Warper, so it's gonna be a Mech Rogue, which isn't very good for us either. Put out the Annoyatron and use that in Blessing of Might to kill off the Warper, hopefully, before it gets too much out on us, and hopefully that he doesn't have anything other than that. So that's going to be a big problem for us now. Problem is trying to get rid of this. We lose our Divine Shield, but we stop him from getting any more buffs with the Mech Warper still alive. We got a 4/2 with Taunt and a 1/1 though. Only problem is he can summon a 4-mana mech on turn 3, which I'm assuming he probably has one. He doesn't though. He has the Hero Power and a Goblin Auto Barber, which is pretty much the same thing for us. Kills that off, and we can use a Muster for Battle here, which if he doesn't kill us off before we can put out a Quartermaster, we could be in a very nice position here. Only thing is, he probably will kill most of our recruits here off, as opposed to just going face, but if he does, that is good for us. Unfortunately, he won't. Needless to say, isn't too much of a surprise. We can still kill off the Warper though. We can use Consecration here. Kill him with the Hammer and the Minion. Gets him to lose quite a bit of momentum here. We have some pretty good cards in our hand still. The Questing Adventure is a pretty good board clear for us. Or not Questing Adventure, but the Hammer of Wrath. It's actually not a really good board clear, but it can draw us a card. Will deal 2 damage to us and get a 2/2 weapon out. Put out a Leper Gnome, save these 2 maybe for later on and just put out the Leper Gnome, or else put out an Adventurer and the muster for battle, makes him make a decision on what he wants to kill. Kill that off with a weapon, and brings out a succubus, which isn't the best trade for us. If he gets greedy and rushes us, we get pretty good board control. And we can use the Hammer of Wrath. Actually, we cannot. He might actually have lethal here if he has the right buffs. Doesn't look like he does. But it is a very timed game right now. Gonna go ahead and put another one out, buff him up to 3 3s, and deal 9 damage to the face. So we may be able to actually win the rush game here, especially with the easy taunts that we have on. But it looks like he'll have a Blade Flurry in his hand, likely, thanks to his response there. Or else something that can just kill us off. So, but if he doesn't, we do have the taunt in the Annoyatron in our hand. We have the Hammer of Wrath to kill something off, draw a card. And the Leper Gnome, that is actually pretty decent for us. He's going to deal 6 damage, but we should have lethal next turn if he doesn't have another thing to play. Blade Flurry will stop that though, gets rid of his weapon however, and kills us. So there we go, we end up losing that one against another rogue, which is, I think, pretty much all the losses we've had on this Paladin deck are against rogues. Hop right back in there, hope to get a better result against a hunter again. We can beat most hunters, just depends on how well we start out. Not the best starting hand, but it's nice to have the Annoyatron anyway. Can draw into a Leper Gnome. Seal of Champions is pretty nice to get. Do get a Blessing of Wisdom for potential card draw, especially if he coins something out on turn 3. If he doesn't, he's going to Leper Gnome instead, which is pretty good with the Annoyatron, and he has Worgen Infiltrator. Couple things to trade pretty well in with the Annoyatron. So I'm going to just put that out right now. Should be able to stop him pretty well, as he will probably have to trade both of those into it unless he has something else to use. Direwolf Alpha won't stop that. He's still going to have to trade into it. So it's a couple minions down. Direwolf Alpha is out, however. I'm going to put a Shielded Minibot out. And save the Blessing of Wisdom. We don't have anything for 4 mana, so he does end up killing us with something anyway. That's not going to be too big of a deal. It's just 2 extra damage to us. We can probably kill it off next turn with the Shielded Minibot, and we can. So I'm going to give it the card draw buff. Kill that off, draw a card, gets us a Consecration. Give it another Divine Shield and more attack, and pass on back over to him. So we lose this buff guy, we draw a card, and he doesn't have anything on the board that can kill off what we have. Unless he uses Arcane Shot and his minion, which still uses quite a bit of what he has. He doesn't end up playing anything this turn, and we can play a Berserker on an empty board. He has 3 cards left, so we have a bit of an advantage there. Now he has 4. He's going to end up hero powering again, so it looks like he doesn't really have anything to play. So Lord of the Arena and a Berserker on an empty board is very nice for us to play here. A 6/5 and a 2/7 with Enrage. Pretty nice taunt wall. We can muster for battle, summon an Annoyatron, another Lord of the Arena, or clear some small mobs off the board if he puts any down. That's actually not bad for us unless he has something good to follow it up with. Get a Blessing of Wisdom here. Might as well poke him, see if that's an explosive trap, and it is, which is going to buff up our Gurbashi even more. I'm going to put out another Lord of the Arena, buff him to draw us a card, and deal 8 damage. It's a Blessing of Kings, which is going to be really nice if we can keep him alive for another turn. Even if he doesn't stay alive, he's going to have to use another spell to kill him, which he's going to use all his spells. That's not too bad for us. Kill command will deal 3 damage, so that's still alive. He's setting us up for another explosive trap, but if we use another buff on him, attack that first. We're going to be bringing him pretty close to lethal range here. 15, and we don't have lethal as of yet, but Hammer of Wrath we could kill him off with next turn using the Hammer of Wrath and the Consecrate. Gonna go ahead and put up another taunt in front of him, summon a 1/1. So we pretty much, unless he has a heal, and it looks like he doesn't have a good counter for him. And there we go, we went 2 for 3 once again here. Only loss again against a rogue, and I'm going to actually hop into another one because we're kind of short here. Thanks to the first game being so quick, and that one was pretty quick as well. See if we can get to rank 17 on our 4th game here. And we'll see what we can get. It's going to be a druid. Again, we've had pretty good luck against everything but not shamans. Everything but, like, yeah, I'm gonna keep these rogues. So pretty decent amount of confidence here. We can coin out the Murloc Knight on turn 3, hopefully on a pretty good board if we can draw in anything that can help us maintain some board control, or if it's a ramp druid once again. I'll try to do the same thing with Murloc Knight. Buff him up, and there is a Leper Gnome, which is really nice for us. Gets us the ability to potentially keep control of the board until we can bring out the Knight on turn 3. Shielded Minibot or an Oiatron would be good as well. He's going to kill it off with a Shapeshift, which does take up his turn 3 and deals 3 damage to him, or turn 2. So that is another move that's actually pretty good for us. Blessing of Might is another nice buff, just going to use that, bring out a 1/1. Keep some momentum up here. Not the best turn 2, probably the worst we could do, but we're going to be using it after the Murloc Knight comes out for sure. Anodized Robocub, he's going to give an extra health, which is good for us. It's not going to be able to do too much damage to the Murloc Knight here. Bring him on with us. We could Seal of Champions on him to give him a Divine Shield, or buff him with the Blessing of Kings, which I might do before summoning the Murloc, just to keep him alive, or else he can swipe it, which does kill off some of our momentum, but if he wants to use a swipe on just a Murloc Knight, that's not the worst thing that could happen for us. And I'm going to put out a Questing Adventure just to see if he will kill it or not. Probably will. Probably wasn't the best play, but it saves us over to the Berserker. Stampeding Kodo is going to kill it. That's a couple of nice targets for the Berserker anyway. Put that out, and we got a ton of buffs for it. Blessing of Kings and Blessing of Might. Probably Blessing of Kings, kill the Robocub off, and then maybe give it Divine Shield, but we don't have enough mana for that, so that's not the play we're going to use. Alternatively, we could just Lord of the Arena and put him behind a shield wall. I think buffing him up to help us deal with this board as quickly as possible is probably our best option. Then hopefully be able to use the Lord of the Arena the next turn. And maybe even another buff, depending on what he's able to play once again. Seems Druids go a little slower than everyone else. It's going to give them all taunt and +1/+1. Not the worst thing that could happen, but he is going to be able to kill that guy off though. Unfortunately, but we can still put out the 6/5. Probably able to get killed anyway, but once you get a muster for battle, not really much of a use for that. Could put out a Questing Adventure and give it the Seal of Champions just to give him something pretty tough to deal with. Instead of using the Lord of the Arena, if he doesn't kill it off, Blessing of Kings will be really good for it. Even if he hero powers, he'll lose his armor and take 4 damage. So he's either got to clear his board, use a spell, or his hero power here. Or just ignore it and leave a pretty nice minion alive. And use the Inspire of Mookless Champion to either do pretty good damage to us or actually kill that off, which it looks like he will with the Champion of Argus, and he does, but Consecrate, we can't kill that off with it. Go ahead and do Lord of the Arena here. Just trades in with the Kodo, which isn't the best thing that could happen, but it's pretty much the only thing we can really use. If he ignores the Lord of the Arena, it could be pretty good for us, though, with the buffs we can give it. And even if we Blessing of Kings, it would still get killed by Whipless Champion or probably whatever he puts out now. So we're a little late for most of our combos, which this is where we really stall out, is after turn 8, turn 7. Chooses charge with that, gives us hero power, so we might do hero power. Or actually just kill that off with the charge and then keep the 6/6 response alive. Brings us down to 9 health, actually 8 health, and we are in a bit of trouble here. Another muster for battle is not going to help us, and we do end up losing this.
Well played.
So I'm going to just concede and hop out here. But once again, thank you all for watching. Even the go 500, but still pretty decent for us. And thank you all once again, and hope to see you all again next time.